We now have talked to some people. Actually, I talked to somebody, almost a week ago about this, but now we can tell you that somebody has talked to the police and telling the police very clearly that Prince had been using cocaine and Percocet for years. And this is coming from an attorney who represented two of Prince's siblings, one half and one step. And one of them, Dwayne, was very close to Prince, was actually his bodyguard, and said that this was kind of a long-standing thing. I will tell you, it dovetails with what a close family member told me a while ago that we haven't put out there yet, but now that we know that this lawyer has spoken with the police in the death investigation, it seems like it's on the table.
Yeah, so Harvey, the guy's name is Mike Patton. Like you said, he's an attorney for Dwayne and Lorna, two of the siblings of Prince. Now, both of those clients of his have passed away. So what they told him is what he told the Carver County Sheriff's Department. I want to be clear that the things that they told him about was obviously before they passed away. So this is, at least 5 years ago. And the reason I want to point that out is two things. Number one, he thought it was important enough to tell the police who are investigating Prince's death, because obviously Prince was 57 years old, had no outward signs of any kind of disease or sickness that would cause death.
Hold on. When you say outward, you mean to us. We don't know what doctors said.
To the public, right, exactly. Outward to the public signs that he had anything. So he thought it was very relevant, the information he had from his two deceased clients. And the Carver County Sheriff, we're told over the weekend, interviewed him. He told them the exact same thing. Now, the question stands, did the cops continue to question him along those lines? And he claims no, they actually just listened, asked a few questions just related to the story he told, and gathered all the information. So they didn't lead on whether or not that's what they're investigating exactly about how he died.
Well, Mike, with respect to the Percocet, there's probably going to be a trail there, and I don't know whether, the Walgreens that Prince had gone to 4 times in the last few days of his life, whether that's going to...
There's going to be a trail of where he got the Percocet,
that's right,
who prescribed it to him. And we know that, Mike, you're saying that the police sort of just listened intently and took notes, but we already know that they wanted the records of what had happened in Moline when
and we know in Moline he OD'd on Percocet.
100%, guys, and that's a specific drug too. It wasn't just he liked pills, Prince liked this. This was a specific drug that was mentioned, during that time period where his two siblings said that he abused that drug. So I agree with you. The fact that that drug then came up a couple days before he died in the plane incident, I think cops definitely are going to hunt down all that information.
Hi, this is Rhoda from Orlando. The Percocet is not in disbelief, but I'm looking at the degree or how much of pain that he would have been in for them to even prescribe it. As far as the cocaine gossip, I've heard that years ago. It's not unlikely. A lot of the celebrities who are into music, they are doing things.
And again, we do not know that this is what killed Prince, but these are the building blocks that the cops are looking at right now. We should also say we have a new development in terms of Prince and a will, or lack thereof.
That there is no will, and in fact, his sister, Tyka, has actually filed documents now confirming that, because she has asked that a special administrator be declared for the estate who would handle, dispersing all the money.
It's a bank that he had used for many years, that knew his finances, that she felt was responsible and trustworthy. It's interesting that she didn't ask to become the special administrator.
Right.
She's asking that the bank be named, but she did mention that that she is an heir, and she mentioned several other heirs who are his siblings. And those are the people who would stand in line to get the money.
And I think Harvey, it's probably a good decision. Right. She named all of those half brothers and sisters, even the one that was deceased. And I think that's a good thing on her part, because a lot of people have been saying when he died, Tyka's her name, his full blood sister, took the reins in the memorial, the cremation, and all that stuff. But as for the money, I think this is smart. Let his bank handle all of this. I'm an heir, just like you guys are heirs. Let's let them handle it to identify that we're the only heirs, and then split up the money per the Minnesota law. All 6 of us will get our chunk of his money, money, and we don't need to argue over it. I think that is the first step there. If she would have gone in, Harvey, and said, I want to be executor, I want to be in charge, I think this may have been a Michael Jackson situation where all of these brothers and sisters may have said, what about our money? So I think that may be where this is going, and the bank who handled all of his royalties and finances for him when he was alive, probably a good choice.